All right, so we're kind of done with our stories for the day, but I wanted to tell a story from my own past.
Okay.
So
Navy story or just
a
regular
Navy story, a sea
Okay.
story. We're going to start off with Hose 9, just because it's one of my favorite stories to tell. And I released a video of this on my comedy channel, because I run 3 different channels, folks. If you don't know that, there's my comedy channel, it's Chris Smith Comedy 1. There's this channel, 2 Nukes, spelled N-E-W-K-S. And then there's also News Breakdown -1, where I do news on my own. So that one doesn't get, a conservative and a liberal voice.
Right.
I just get to say how I feel about things. And anyway, on my comedy channel, I released this, but I got to thinking, people don't really get the full. I released it as a short, and it kind of misses some context. So a really good friend of mine on my second boat, I was a chief, so I was standing engine watch supervisor, and he would stand, usually throttle-man, but this day he was auxiliary electrician aft, which is kind of the youngest electrician on the boat. And he and I used to make these stupid little wagers. And I would always wager almost nothing, like maybe one of the Red Bulls that I kept in my rack, or a Coke, or because see, like you can't get sodas underway on a submarine, right? They're traded like cigarettes are in prison.
Yep.
But I would always make his some real significant thing that he would have to do, like a challenge, okay? And he would usually do them. Like he went one time right into the chief's quarters without knocking, which is first of all crazy,
Yep.
especially on a submarine. He walked right into the chief's head, which is already nuts. Walks right into the stall, sits down, and poops. Gets up, leaves, says, "Thanks, guys," and walks out the door. And that was a challenge that I gave him. Now, of course...
That's a decent one.
Of course, as soon as he walks out of the door, I tell the other chiefs, and they're like, "I did that. I made him do it." So it's not like I'm letting him get in trouble, but it is funny. And so this one, Hose 9, was pretty significant. We do code reds. So basically they're fire drills, but they're kind of half fire drills. You don't actually show up with fire hoses and pressurize them and all that stuff. But the initial team, on some boats they call them the flying squad, some boats they call them the rapid response team, whatever they call them, they'll show up with like fire extinguishers and try to extinguish the fire,
Right.
initially. And the auxiliary electrician aft is the one who's supposed to be there with the fire extinguisher first. He's the first man on the scene, there with the fire extinguisher, ready to try to put out the fire. Well, I knew a code red was coming because, again, I was a chief. And I told him, I said, for this code, because he lost our little, whatever our wager was.
Right.
And I told him, you got to go, I gave him his instructions. So when the code red gets called away, he gets there first with his fire extinguisher. He was really fast. He was good at it. But he had already prepared for the little stunt he had to pull. So underneath his coveralls was nothing. He was just on a submarine. I'll put a picture here. But we would wear just dark blue coveralls, and then you would usually wear a white shirt and boxers or something underneath. But the white shirt and boxers were missing from his. He shows up. He's the first one on the scene. Okay, he's wearing his coveralls, which are these dark blue coveralls. I'll show you a picture. And underneath, you're supposed to wear a white T-shirt and boxers or whatever. He wasn't wearing those. He was just naked underneath. And so he shows up, sets down the fire extinguisher, and now I'll break and tell you, there's 8 fire hoses naturally on the boat. And this is an important part of the story, right?
Right.
So normally you would announce like hose 3, fight the fire, with hose 4 searching for spread, which means they'll go one level above and look for if the fire makes it to the next
If it's
area.
spreading, yeah.
Exactly. So we have 8 fire hoses, and so that's why we call this hose 9. So he shows up, he sets his fire extinguisher down, not allowed to do that. He drops his coveralls, puts his hands on his hips, and he says, "Hose 9 is on the scene with all of its glory." You're right. And EDMC tried to kick him in the ass, but missed. And
No comments about how small the hose
no
Wow.
comments about it. But he took some big old balls to do it. So in the chief's quarters, the EDMC, the bull nuke ends up in there, and he's just fuming still. He's like, "I cannot believe this guy would do this to me. What is his problem?" I'm laughing in the corner, and he looks at me and goes, "What's so funny?" As a bull, I did it. I told him to go down there and do that, and I just can't get over it. And then he got a pretty big laugh out of it, but he was still shocked that I was able to get him to do it, and honestly, I was too.
That's the key, though, is keeping people from getting in trouble. Then it's always fun and games.
Yeah. As long as they don't get in trouble, you go a little stir crazy on a submarine, and we needed to kill some time, so I got a big old laugh out of this. And at some point, I'll tell the story of The Dark Knight Rises on here, so that one's pretty good too.
And these are giving you laughs for years too, not just.
Oh yeah,
Hey.
I'm still laughing about it, man.
Yeah.
I wish he was here right now to tell the story with us, or maybe even pull a hose 9 on us. All right, I think that's our show for the week.
I'm good with it.
Yeah.
I think today was a good day.
Yeah, thanks for watching.